Existentialism. A lot has been said about it in many different contexts by many very smart people. Today, it's often treated as a cool modern philosophy, often associated with the absurdity of life, the dreaded existential crisis, or even total freedom. The freedom to choose, the freedom to create meaning, or at least the freedom to skip work and call it philosophy. But that's not what we're here to do. On this channel, we don't just talk about big ideas. We look closely at words themselves. So, welcome. My name is Sergey, and I talk about ideas in a way that is grounded in language and in the words that we use to describe them. Naturally, we'll start with the word existence itself, but only briefly, because the real star of this video, the word we all use every day without thinking twice, is much simpler. That word is there. Yes, there, as in being there. It seems like the most straightforward word imaginable. We all know what there means, right? Well, if it were that simple, I wouldn't be making this video.
The unsolved mysteries of unsolved mysteries. The truth is out there.
Let's start with the word existence itself, just to set the stage. It comes from two parts, ex and sistence. Ex means out of or former, as in ex-partner, something past. So to exist is to stand out in time, to carry with you a past, an already lived self. I've made a full video on this connection between existence and time, so I won't go deep into that here. Instead, let's turn to the real protagonist of today's video, the word there. At first glance, there seems like the most spatial word imaginable. You point and say, look over there. Clear, precise, concrete. But that's exactly where existentialism twists things. Because there is not only a word about space, it's also a word about time. And that's the strange part we'll explore. The word there is at the very heart of existentialist philosophy, especially in Martin Heidegger's Being and Time. This book influenced the more familiar voices of existentialism like Jean-Paul Sartre or Albert Camus, Hannah Arendt or Jacques Derrida. Heidegger's key term in German is Dasein, literally their being. Da is a linguistic cousin of the English there. They even sound alike. And Sein means being. But here's a twist. In German, da doesn't just mean there. It can also mean here. It can mean then and even because. So one tiny word with at least four meanings, stretching across space, time, and logic. Of course, if you'd ask Heidegger to explain this at a dinner party, he would probably say da of Dasein means there, here, then, and because. And everybody would just stare awkwardly in their soup. But English too makes there ambiguous and strange. It doesn't only point to a place. Take therefore, where there suddenly means because. Or the phrase there you are, which in fact means here you are. So the word slips around. It looks spatial, but often it isn't. And when you think about it, here and there are interchangeable. I can be here on this planet, but in the meantime, the vase is there on the table. That's strange, because here on this planet can be closer than there on the table. Gaston Bachelard, in his book Poetics of Space, even writes that here and there are unfortunate adverbs of place endowed with unsupervised powers of ontological determination. In simple words, here and there shouldn't even have a distinction at all. Because everything can be here or there. Eventually, it's simply a matter of framing and preference. Everything can be packed in the word there, so much so that our overall understanding of space itself begins with this vague concept of there. When someone says, I'll be there for you, we don't stop and ask, where exactly? A street, a corner, a city, a building. No, what we really mean is a time. We mean, I'll be there present for you when you need me. In this sense, there is not a location at all. It's a non-place, a presence without coordinates, a marker of existence that has no fixed boundary. And then there also takes on a phenomenal layer when it becomes an exclamation. When you finish making something, for example, you say, "There, it's done. Behold, pay attention." Or when you meet a friend you haven't seen for a while, you say, "There you are. Wow, I'm happy to see you." This kind of exclamatory or phenomenal use of the word there is tightly linked to another term used to describe existentialism, which is called phenomenology. The existentialists were also called phenomenologists because they saw being or existence, this there, not as a place on a map or in physical space, but primarily as a phenomenon, as an event. A phenomenal and eventful event in all senses of the word. And that's why it's reflected in the word there as an exclamation rather than a position. To put it simply, you don't just occupy space as a shoe would occupy a shoebox. Your place of being is an event, a phenomenal event. So much so that you could be always reminding yourself, wow, I'm there. Where there? In existence, in being as such. No matter where you go, you're there. Wow. That's quite phenomenal, this whole business of being. And that's what the existentialists and the phenomenologists would want to remind you. In everyday life, we simply forget that we're there at all. We know where exactly we are located in space, be it in a room, in a car, in a city or a street, but not remembering that we're there at all, in presence, in existence. When we focus only on space, the phenomenal aspect of being as such slips under the radar. Because if it's all just a matter of occupying space in this whole big universe with all these planets and galaxies around us, we become insignificant to ourselves. We're just grains of sand in a giant sandbox. But not, as the existentialists would like to remind us, the very place where being itself happens, where it is understood, where it is perceived. It's just there where we are at the moment. Wow, amazing. But we forget that when we focus on space. And as a side note, the word focus is quite phenomenal in itself. In Latin, focus meant a fireplace, a place where fire was ignited. But today we use the word focus as a term for paying attention. We focus on something at every moment. But if we take these two terms together, focus as a fireplace and focus as paying attention, the focus becomes a kind of a place where attention is being ignited at the very moment, where fire burns in a way. And that place of focus is, you guessed it, there. Right there where we are. We are the focus point because we are the ones focusing. We are the place where this fire of being takes place. Now here's another very peculiar expression, to take place. We do take place, the existentialists would reiterate. We don't just fill space that's already there. We take place for ourselves. Our bodies, our very present, sort of absorbs space. It takes place. It claims a space for itself. That's an important distinction between just filling a place and taking place. To take place means to be that fireplace, that place where being is perceived and focused on. It's not a trivial matter to take place existentially. And that taking place is occurring there, where we are, at the very moment in time and in space. But the problem is that we can't observe this place of there from the outside because we're inside it. We're there already. That's why the word is so powerful. It says it all. There meaning the place where we are. You cannot be more central than that. So being there is existentially to take place in this point of focus, which not only takes place, but also very importantly, takes time. When we exist, we both take place and take time. Both space and time merge in this focal point we call there, the phenomenal point. So taking place is kind of easy to perceive. We look around and we can see how we take place, where we are. When we are in a room, we know what it is to take place in a room. But taking time is a much more difficult affair. We can't see how we can possibly take time. We don't see time. We can see time on a clock, which means in space. But we can never see how is it that we're taking time to be, to exist, to be there. And that's what the existentialists come with their insistence on there being a temporal phenomenon, not just spatial one. Space is easy because we can see it and touch it, but not time because we cannot see it anywhere. And that's why we have language to give us these clues into the strange world of time and taking time. We have these words that are fluid. They speak of both space and time without us noticing them, such as the word always in English. We think it's just one word describing time, always. But in fact, it's a combination of all and ways. All ways of time is all ways of space. All the ways we choose to go, we always end up at the same place. There, where we are. As they say, no matter where you go, there you are. Now, this sounds almost Buddhist. It sounds closer to Eastern mysticism. There's a Japanese term, you see, I had to use the word there. There's a Japanese term called ma, which means a kind of a negative space, a non-place. A kind of there, which moves around without having a definite place. No geographic point, no physical position. And existentialism indeed was often seen as an answer to Eastern mystic tradition. This intuition isn't only Eastern. In the Western tradition too, there quietly slips into the foundations of thought and faith. Already in the first question of philosophy, why is there anything at all? The word stands at the center. The strange thing about it is that even if we don't know the answer, we actually understand the question. And that's the point. We understand somehow that there means everywhere. We don't ask, where should there be anything? We know the question says there in general. And somehow we're fine with that. We're fine with the question, even though we don't know the answer. But the fact that we can pose the question in such a way already tells us something. In religion too, there's this famous phrase, let there be light. We know what there is, somehow. Now, you might criticize the religious approach, but you do understand what let there be light entails. You can conceptualize it. You can understand it. No one really criticized this phrase for making no sense at all. Somehow it does. Let there be light. You don't ask, where should this light be specifically? In what position? You understand there as such. In fact, this phrase is constructed in such a way that it lets you imagine a place of there without space at all. It sets you up for an imagination of another dimension rather than just a spatial one. And then we have the word there used in poetry. Shakespeare, the titan of the Western literary tradition, puts the word there in this ambiguous position and almost plays with it. In the play The Tempest, a character named Miranda exclaims, "Oh wonder, how many goodly creatures are there here? How beauteous mankind is! Oh brave new world that has such people in it." Notice what Shakespeare is doing here. He plays with us by putting the words there and here one against another. He tells us that both here and there are the same. You understand them both, even though in spatial terms here is obviously not there. That's why the play is called The Tempest, because it plays with the word tempus, time. Here and there are both in time, not merely in space. They are interchangeable. And as it's always the case with Shakespeare, there are a lot of layers to unpack with him. Not least the fact that the character who says this is called Miranda, from the Latin mirari, to look, to admire, to be amazed of a miracle, almost. So there we are. We unpacked one of the most used words in everyday language, but one that is central to understanding this strange philosophy of existentialism that goes beyond the mere pop connotation that it is attributed to it. Hope we meet in the next video. I'll see you there.